The good news came probably about a couple of years after, but I soon got pregnant naturally. First one was a miscarriage. Second one, it ruptured in my fallopian tube. And at a point of time, we were given a heads up that we might need to do fertility treatment, but we held off. We thought of still trying out naturally first, but subsequent pregnancy was also another ectopic, also another rupture, and all this required me to go emergency surgeries just to remove those tubes. At first I was in denial, because I thought that this wouldn't make me less of a woman, it shouldn't make me less of a wife. And then it started creeping up to me. But I guess it's also because of all the things that I had to go through over such a short period of time. Dealing with 3 back-to-back miscarriages, and having to console my feelings, not knowing what I can actually do to overcome this, really made me question myself, question my value as a woman, as a wife. But I got over it because I was given this opportunity to try IVF. So I went in with really the determination to really wanting to take home a child from my treatment.
At first, I didn't know what to do, how to help, how to assist her to do this, to give her the support, because she's my first child in a family of 4 children, first child of 4 children to go through this. As a father, it's not easy to really tell her or what you call it, to show that how I feel about it. It's very, very difficult. But I think she will understand how I feel about it. Whatever it is, I will give a full support.
I kept feeling pregnant. I kept saying I was pregnant, and I kept telling him, I think I'm pregnant. But every time I tested, negative. And I told him, I said, I have all the signs. I have nausea, I have giddy spells, my boobs felt weird. But every single time, I even went to a doctor to get a urine test, negative. And then suddenly I got these really bad cramps, which I thought was menses cramps. So it was really bad. And I was bleeding, so thinking it was my
regular
cycle.
It happened for 2, 3, 4 months.
Yeah. So, and then what happened was it became so painful that I couldn't walk. And I actually told him, I think we need to go and see a doctor. So our office was pretty near KK, so we drove to KK. And when I was at KK, everything happened fast. They basically told me that, hey, you're pregnant. I was like, oh, I'm pregnant? Oh my God, I'm having my menses, how is it possible? And they're like, but you know what, we need to do some more tests. And then within 20 minutes, they called me back again. And then they said, we're very sorry, but we suspect it's an ectopic pregnancy. So I was like, what does that even mean? At that point of time, I didn't even know what an ectopic pregnancy was. So they, within an instant, we were from so happy to, oh no, what's that? And then you start Googling what's ectopic pregnancy. And then they come to the room and tell me I need to sign this form because I'm hemorrhaging. And it could be fatal, so they needed to do an emergency surgery on me because my left tube had ruptured. Actually, they used the term burst, but yeah, so it was, I was actually bleeding out internally. So I went from being so happy to, instantly being told that my left tube was actually ruptured. So they wheeled me in for surgery. It took me an hour to sign that form because that form said that they could do whatever it takes to save my life, which meant that they could have removed my womb. So we've had a couple of miscarriages, losses, and I think every single one was different for sure. But I think the hardest one was the first one, which is this ectopic pregnancy, because everything happened so fast. I went from, oh, I'm not pregnant, or so sad, I really felt pregnant, to oh ma'am, you're pregnant. I'm like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. And then within the next 20 minutes, we're very sorry. It's an ectopic pregnancy, but we won't know till the scan. So it's like, okay, still got hope. And then next thing you know, I'm waking up from a surgery being told that they've done a DNC or I've lost my left tube. Then the whole questions are, oh my God, I couldn't get pregnant with one tube. With two tubes? What am I gonna do now with one? I think a part of you dies too. And yes, I have a baby now, I have a child now, but I don't think we ever truly forget the losses that we went through, because the kind of pain that sets in is a very slippery road to go down. Because, like I said, even for someone who's as positive and as strong, whatever, I shut down. I really shut down because no one understood. At least for the first couple of weeks or months, I did not manage to get access to people who had gone through similar, because family and friends support, they love you. And I know everybody means well, but sometimes the things that they say, oh my God, at that point of time when you are going through, you're like, stop. It's coming from a good place, I understand. But when you are in that space, nothing's right. Nothing's right about someone telling you, oh, don't worry, it's just not meant to be. Nothing's right about someone telling you, oh, your time will come. Oh, maybe this baby was not healthy, so maybe, God has a different plan for you. Sure, everything you say could possibly be true. But when you're going through that, nothing about what they're saying makes sense or sounds right or makes you feel better. Not at all. And it's a very lonely place, because I think for me, I was in my space. For you, he was trying to be strong for me. He was being that protector, that looking after me and making sure I was okay. So he didn't get to mourn the way I did. He didn't get to shut down the way I did, because he had to still be in that zone to take care of me, because I was not there. How I got better and came out of that very dark space was I met a relative, and we met actually a relative who had similarly gone through ectopic pregnancies, trying and multiple, and they were actually pregnant. So apart from talking to someone who actually went through, knowing what an ectopic pregnancy was, knowing about losses, knowing about trying for years and not having that 2 lines on a positive on a pregnancy kit, they helped to. I could breathe. After that conversation, the coffee that we had, I felt, oh my God, finally someone who understands, not just an auntie or a cousin or a friend who loves me and is trying to make me feel better, but somebody who has been through what I was going through. She went for a school.
Yeah, she had a seminar that she attended, something to do with reproduction and how it is in Singapore now, and there were doctors on the panel. So what happened was
she asked questions.
She couldn't deal with the fact that every doctor we have gone to turned us down. So she actually asked that question in that whole seminar, and she posted that question, and all doctors answered it, and then still she couldn't deal with it. So when they had that breakout session and the tea session, she actually personally went up to each one of them and asked them, are you really sure it's possible? And all 3 of them that she spoke to gave them their personal handphone numbers and said, get your cousin, call me.
Yeah.
So when we came back, she gave us three different phone numbers, and she said, this is it. Yeah. The ball's in your court now. Whichever one you guys pick, do it.
Yeah.
Whatever she wants, I will support her. Yeah. Whether she wants to pursue further or she wants to stop. So she calls the shot.
My plan initially before my 3rd transfer was to try again, try a fresh cycle again, with another doctor, looking for miracles. But after the 3rd transfer failed and I allowed myself some time to think about it, time is not on my side. When we failed, I was already 42, 41, 42. And knowing my history, I cannot have good, healthy eggs. Major reason for my decision is also because I feel Jeff is enough. Yeah, without even without kids, I envision, even we don't have kids, I will be happy with him for the rest of my life. Yeah.
at the beginning of the IVF journey, we sort of like, we had an understanding that whatever happened shouldn't affect us. So that was the goal that we had. Whether for better or worse, we should be strong together. We go through together. Yeah.
During the IVF process, we both became very emotionally raw. You know, it was one of my darkest period in my life. Apart from, you know, having too much drugs in my body, I actually have gotten a big fibroid in my womb right now. That's part of the reason why we also decided to stop IVF, because my gynae told me it's growing. IVF is a part of our life, a part of our married life, but it doesn't make or break our marriage. It actually makes us stronger. He was there for me all the time, which I really appreciate. Yeah, and he was very supportive of my decisions as well. Yeah, so it is a difficult journey lah. It's really difficult. I'm actually happy we went through it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you never try, you never know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the max that my body can do. Okay, this is what I can do. This is what we can do. I think we should carry on with our life because we have no regrets.
Yeah. We are good lah. We are good lah. That's why I say nothing. It's not like we are dwelling over it, or we are constantly thinking about what could have been. No, we're not thinking about that. So we have moved on. So now we have 3 little dogs.
I'm happy that, you know, it happened and we walked through it, even though we didn't get the result that we wanted, but it made us stronger.
Yeah.
Do what is right for your mental health. Don't let any kind of pressure affect your decision, be it peer pressure,
Family
pressure. I think family pressure sometimes it's quite difficult to deal with, but I feel you must be selfish at this point. If you feel that you no longer had the will to carry on, you think that you must move on, make the decision. For us, it will be the best decision that we have made.
Yeah, I think from that perspective, it was good for us because both of us were very open to the idea of adoption. Like, you know, we just saw it as another way of having a family. It wasn't as if, you know, we didn't think of it as being second choice, or, you know, of it being a second best option of having a family. For us, it was, you know, first amongst equals, really.
And I think even though we said, like, for me especially, even though my heart was open to adoption, I would say it's not a straightforward journey. There's a lot of, I would say, back and forth, even internally. I mean, questions would arise like, would I be able to love my adopted child in the same way if I could have a biological child? I was really, really scared. You can ask Glenn. And even though I knew I wanted to go through it, it was really a struggle because I was so scared. I was so nervous. And I'm like, Glenn, are you sure? Are you sure we should do it? But at the back of our minds, we always wanted a family. We felt that we like have love to give, and yeah, but it was not always straightforward.
Yeah, it's not
and
straightforward.
easy.
Yeah.
I think someone asked me, who is the person I love the most? And I said Glenn, and she said, you guys are not even biologically related or not even blood related. And that really, I guess, resonated with me. And she said, look, you can actually love someone that you're not blood related with. What makes you think that you cannot love your child who is adopted? And I think that was when my mind really opened. I talked to a lot of people. We met a lot of families who adopted as well, who've been through that journey.
Yeah.
We read a lot of books, and we began to see different perspectives. I think that helped to prepare us emotionally and mentally for this journey. Going through the home study report, where we also got to speak to our social worker who also adopted herself, was really encouraging. And I wouldn't say it's like one moment in time, it's really a process. And even the moment when you adopt, you will not be 100% ready. Like the first year was really a struggle for me as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, I think in terms of when we got comfortable with the idea of having a family via adoption, as Gloria said, it was not a straightforward sort of like snap moment where we knew, okay, we're going to do it. It was, there were some of our friends who were going through the struggles that we were, and they were privy to our struggles in that respect. And I think it was just, I can't remember who it was specifically, who just kind of like put the idea in our minds that, oh, have you considered adoption? If you'd like to have any conversations with people on how that journey looks like, we'll be happy to put you in touch. So, I think we attended a couple of talks organized by our church, just, on a sort of like, just go there and just learn, just hear out what this and the adoption journey would be like. And, it was through those interactions, those iterative interactions with people and at talks, where the idea slowly began to take root in our minds more firmly.
I think when people think about adoption, sometimes they always say, oh, the child is so lucky, right, to be in your family. But I think for us, the perspective is always, we are so blessed to have him be part of our family. And I think one thing to also know is that adoption always begins with loss. It's not always joyful and happily ever after. Sometimes when I look at my son, when he's sleeping at night, I think about his loss, his loss from his birth parents. Yeah, so I think when people see us as a family, they feel like a lot of joy and happiness, but I think there are a lot of layers to adoption, and it's not easy, right? It's a something that we have to process in our life, and for him as well. I'm sure that when he grows up, he will have questions, and we would love to be there with him to figure it out. This is part of his story. It's part of his identity, and I don't want him to feel ashamed at all. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Yeah, I think as Gloria has very rightly mentioned, it's the emotions that you feel from undergoing an adoption actually starts, even from baby's birth, right? Because at that point of time, his birth parents had to make a conscious decision to give him away, and from our perspective, we're also struggling with infertility, right? So that there's loss from both sides, and then afterwards, but it's a bit like peeling an onion. So the first few layers will be different from the next few layers underneath, and I think at least from our perspective, the struggle was peeling over the first few layers, and then afterwards understanding that the journey itself will continue, and it will change. The emotions will change over time. It's important to be exposed and to be open to it, and to the extent where there are resources that are available through any of the accredited home study report agency providers. It's just a matter of just clicking on the website, and to find out a little bit more about what the adoption journey is like. MSF as well, the Ministry of Social and Family Services, also has a landing page where they'll take you through the steps that you need to do in order to consider what adoptive journey is like. So, but also, from a personal perspective, the process of us, going through the process of adoption was also one of just speaking with friends, through word of mouth, just being put in touch with people whom are looking through, have already gone through the process previously, and just understanding and just meeting their families as well, together with baby as well, and seeing what the picture of an adoptive family would be like, practically speaking, what was so important to us. It helped to put everything in context.
I think go with it with a curious mind and open mind. And I found what was useful for me is, instead of just speaking to adoptive parents, I actually watched a lot of YouTube videos on adoptees. So the questions that went through their minds when they were growing up, what they would like to know, and how they kind of things that went well for them, right? That their adoptive parents did, or things that they wished could be better. So I think really understanding the perspective of both adoptive parents and adoptees was really helpful in preparing our hearts. Yeah, I think it was best decision ever. When Isaac called me Mama when he was 12 months, oh my gosh, I melted, and I just went completely soft. And when I see him today, he's brought us so much joy in our lives. he's growing up so well. He's so loving, and we're just so glad that we have a family together. We are actually in the process of adopting a second baby, so we are waiting for that.
Yeah.
And hoping to provide, to have a little sister or brother for Isaac in the family. But I think this is definitely life-changing for us. But no regrets.
No regrets at all. People who are, it's a decision that preferably we wouldn't have had to make, but for the fact that we had to go down this path, like the Robert Frost poem about a path diverging in a wood, and the person who was traveling down that path taking the path less traveled by, and that made all the difference. I think that perfectly sums up the adoption journey. You don't care why you had to make the decision. You care only about the journey that you've had to travel. And I think from that perspective, us going down this adoptive journey was the best thing that we have ever did, even though we didn't ask to make the decision.
Yeah, I remember Glenn shared with me that quote one night, and he said, "Isn't it exciting? We're going on the path less traveled. Let's go on this adventure together." And that was, really heartwarming.
I was diagnosed with breast cancer slightly 6 months after my last miscarriage in 2020. So basically, currently I'm on hormone therapy. So I have to be on this therapy for 3 years before the doctors are allowing me back to try for IVF. I mean, there's nothing wrong in take a pause. Like every time I have a miscarriage, pretty much I took 1 year break in between every single cycle. So they will always say to a woman, your age is catching up, you're no longer young. If you want kids, you have to be young. But sometimes doing multiple cycles in a short period of time may not be the best way for your body. So having a break sometimes will help you to know whether you want to proceed or whether you have to have other choices, other options along the way as well.
So we have our own really a couple time, getting time to spend time together. Then I think that also built the foundation for us, rather than rushing into it. And then I think the more stress comes in the friends say, hey, so you don't get kids, But for us, our parents have never asked us when you're going to get kids.
I will still think to really step back, look at your own situation. Count whatever you have, count your blessings, know what you want in life before you make any decision. Understand where you are, where you want to go before you make a decision to pursue whatever you have decided to do.
Look around, take account of our situation, and then make plans. Because then again, IVF is expensive. You don't want to go into a situation where you are trying to fulfill somebody else's dreams or somebody else's word, and during the whole process of IVF, and you're putting stress to your body, and you're putting stress to your relationship. Just going through such things is actually as a couple. So we should, and it both has to agree about what to do. I think share it to a friend that's close to you, or to if you really need, counseling, or as a find a psychotherapist or something like that, to let out your emotions, so that you feel that if you're being hurt is very important.